Hello, everybody. Welcome to NinjaChris Silly History, and I am your host, NinjaChris. And this month, we are looking at the Romans, specifically Roman Britain. Now, how did the Romans come to us? I hope you all enjoy a bit of a chat about the Romans, because I know I love the Romans, and I know that quite a lot of my friends around, they love to hear about the Romans because they did so much for us. I mean, they're incredible, but why did they come to us? Why us? Suppose we were just so fascinating. Our Celtic tribes. I just want to wonder what was going on in our little island. People didn't the Romans didn't even believe, some people, that our island even existed. I mean, it didn't exist millions of years ago like it does now, because Britain itself, the British Isles themselves, were all connected to Europe. If you looked at old photos, you'd actually see Britain connected to Europe. It's because of so many years of eroding away, and we think it's the water levels pushing up that's made it so the British Isles is now separate, and we've got the English Channel. So the Romans weren't sure if there was anything across the other side, or they'd probably just plummet to their death. Who knows? But thankfully for them, they didn't. And yeah, the Romans started in 753 BC. Now, that was a very, very long time ago. So yeah, they started a kingdom. Surprisingly, we had a Roman kingdom. I know it was all to do with Romulus and Remus. Unfortunately, Remus wasn't so lucky because they were two brothers, but unfortunately one got power hungry and Romulus decided to, execute him. So, not really a happy ending for Mr. Remus, whoever he may be. But, yeah, that started the kingdom anyway. So much for a co-ruling. You'll find a lot of that during the Roman timeline. You find that they're meant to rule together, but one of them just gets a bit of power hungry. Yeah, they don't want to share. They want it all, and they want it now. Sorry for that. That was terrible, but anyway, yeah, that's back into the Roman kingdom. And then the Roman Republic started, which is where things started to expand from. Because literally the Roman kingdom was just Rome. It was that tiny little bit after they broke through the Etruscan lands, just that little bit of Rome. So it wasn't even Italy. And then it wasn't really until when we got into the Roman Republic in 509 BC when the action really started happening, because we had a few wars going on, a few civil wars, because, well, they were fighting over which bit of land that they want, like little children. Ah, dearie me. What can you do, eh? They're just going to keep fighting over land, and yeah. And well, one of the most famous wars I gotta say about is the Punic Wars. Them three wars that gave them, when they won the Punic Wars, that gave them access to the whole of that gave them access to the Mediterranean Sea, because they were facing the Carthaginians, which is modern day Tunisia. So they've gone, they got that bit in the Mediterranean, because Rome, obviously, the Roman Republic got hold of Sicily, which means they just have to go across the water, and that's perfect for trading. And that included, apparently, trading with Britain, even though they didn't exactly know it was there, but they were getting all of their equipment from from some tribe from the Gaelic lands. Apparently, we didn't know who it was, but yeah. And well, you got to look at the Celtic tribes now as well, because, well, the Romans from the fourth century BC, they've been at each other. They was always at each other, trying to get bits of land, but they never got over the channel. But because I'm talking about the Celts, because it was them who actually came over. It was the Celts who came over to Britain. Well, they're called the Britons, Birtons. Except, yeah, they used an oath instead of AIN. Maybe they couldn't spell properly, but I don't think they really minded too much. They were probably just happy to have a fight with each other. Now, I'll understand me that tonight will probably be quite a lot about war, because most of it was them trying to conquer the lands. But I'm giving you a sort of background idea of where they may come from, because, well, the Celts came from Central Europe, which is basically about where Germany is now. And they started off with a couple of cultures called the Urnfield culture and the Helsat culture, which is basically just right in the center. And it was just a culture where they literally used the bare minimum. They hunted. They were basically just a load of hunter-gatherers who, well, they were a bit creative as well. They wore clothes, at least. They weren't exactly great, but they wore clothes. And when they were at war, they always wore paint. You find the Celtic tribes, it's kind of a war thing for them. And, well, they believed in interesting God. They were polytheistic in religious senses, so they believed in more than one God. It was kind of one of those situations where could cause a lot of wars, because religion does cause wars, and it was just something that they believed in. They're almost like the Amazons, I suppose, in a way. They believed in like sacrifice, whether it's animal sacrifice or even human sacrifice. It's wow, not very nice idea, but that's what the Druids, because they had Druids, and they basically, they felt like they controlled everything. They had a pathway to the polytheistic gods, the many gods that they have, because that's what policy. Yeah, that's what them gods. They have more than one god. Sorry, get a bit tongue tied there. Shows I'm human, doesn't it? Yeah. Anyway, they're the Celts. They moved across. I'm giving you a little bit of background because I thought you might want to know where they came from and why they decided to travel across the Britain. It's mostly because, well, really, the Celtic tribes, they all spread out, because the ones that stayed in like central, they were called the Gauls, and then you've got the ones that go, the insular Celts, which basically go over to the British Isles. You've got the Gaels, which are also labelled as the Scotty, because they actually moved over to where Scotland is now, but where Scotland is now, they were called the Picts at the particular time, or the Caledonians, depending on which one you wanted to call. Obviously, Caledonia and Caledonians was what the Romans called them, but the people from there were Picts. So that's how it worked, and yeah, they didn't start moving over until like the 5th century BC. So yeah, but they all settled in, and they all wore their war paint and everything like that, doing their sacrifices and stuff. they had their druids up in where North Wales is, over in Anglesey. So that's where they basically had their religious area bit, whatever their bit that they do for their religious cult, their Celtic. But anyway, that's where they are. That's how they got there. And this is where the Romans decided that they wanted to check things out, because we had the old famous Julius Caesar, who started the Gallic Wars in 58 BC, and that went all the way through till 50 BC. But there is a couple of years during the Gallic Wars that are our most important, because in 55 BC he went over to Britain. He actually found Britain for the first time. He'd heard about the land, didn't know much about it. Of course, he didn't know what to expect either. He went in, and the first thing he saw was big white cliffs, which we might know as the White Cliffs of Dover. Of course, because they were in boats, it's a bit difficult to get up the cliff, you see. And from what I've read, the locals, the Celts, the Celtic tribes, the Britons, they were stood at the top of the mountain watching down on them. And I've got a feeling they were a bit like, oh, you idiots, how are you going to do this? I tell you, Caesar went round and found his way to a bit called Pegwell Bay, where they kind of they landed their ships there. But Caesar wasn't ready particularly for an invasion or a war, because he hadn't brought as many men across. So he was a bit overwhelmed when he came across. Still had little scuffles and everything like that, but it's a bit difficult when you're a bit low man, because they thought, oh, they're only little tribes, but they put up a blooming good fight. Caesar wasn't expecting that. And the thing is, they had the Britons, they had hold of the land. They knew, because it was all forest land, so they were quite clever, and they kept sneaking out from behind the bushes, didn't attack, and then ran away, which is quite a clever tactic, if you ask me personally. Just hit and run, just keep smacking them, and I think Caesar had enough, because, well, he got on his boat and disappeared. And then in 54 BC, he decided he wanted to go back and try again. This time, he had a bigger army, so he was more prepared, and he went off and had a more bigger and better fight. He didn't conquer the land, but he definitely had a better fight of it. And the good thing about it is, when Caesar left, we left on good terms, because we left some people there, essentially, because we always had trading routes with them, but we've left a bit of a garrison there, so to speak. So we're willing to come back, and we're willing to trade with them, and we kept doing that. The thing is, Caesar, I think, was planning to invade again, but unfortunately, he had a severe case of the death in 44 BC. It's one of those that you're not coming back from, I'm afraid. Yeah, sorry, Caesar, but everybody just hated you in the council, I'm afraid. Ah, man, you have to leave it to Mark Antony and Caesar. Not Caesar, no, Augustus. But again, they wanted to, they planned it, but they didn't follow through with it in the end, because they had their own little wars to deal with. I think they were struggling fighting with the Gauls and having civil wars as well, wars with themselves. It's one of those where you're just going to keep fighting. So that had to get put on hold. And then, Caligula was originally going to try. Unfortunately, Fortunately, he died in some cases because he had a very, very short reign, and also a very, very short temper. Also, he was paranoid and he was nuts. And I am glad that he wasn't the one who invaded Britain. Considering Caligula's reign was only from 37 to 41 AD, considering that 4 years as an emperor, and he managed to do that much damage. I mean, dude, what? And then Claudius took over, who had a limp, but so everybody thought he was a weak emperor. He was weak. Claudius, the fourth emperor, they thought, oh, he's got a limp, he's got nothing. So Claudius's idea was, I'm going to go and invade Britain. And that's exactly what he did. He went and conquered Britain in 43 AD. Well done, sir. And I'm going to have a drink and I'm going to see who's talking right now. I'm going to say hello to everybody. Right now, before we get into the conquest of Britain, I wanna say hello to everybody. Hey guys. Hey Anna. Hey Stephen. Good to have you here. Mark. Hey Mark. Welcome. Mowley. Good to have you here as well. It's always good to have everybody. Oh, Mark, you're off already, aren't you? You're not messing around. Andrew Gibbs. Hello. Oh, you're the one. You're a guy from church. Yes. I remember you. I don't think I ever spoke to you that much, but it's good to have you here. So, yeah. I'm glad everybody's here, and I'm glad everybody's having fun. Yeah, the White Cliffs of Dover. I'm only looking at the White Cliffs of Dover from photos, I'm afraid, but they look a lot better now than I bet that they did back then. When you were Caesar, you were looking up them cliffs and you saw loads of men standing over there covered in their war paint. No, thank you. I don't want anything to do with them. Yeah, because Caesar was, battle hungry, and he was Caesar. He went across and had 2 years worth of battles. He went back again, even though he didn't really win. But it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah, it is used by Caesar. Is basically the heir to the emperorship, because you also got Augustus, but that became into power when Octavian, who was named Augustus, when you had Augustus in your name, that meant you were emperor, because, well, Augustus was an emperor. So it then became something that just happened to be in every name after that. So, yeah. Well, Caesar was a dictator, and there's a lot of words, but he was powerful. He definitely did his job anyway. From 100 BC to 44 BC, Caesar definitely did a lot of work. So yeah, we're on to conquering Britain now. I don't know why I'm so excited. They're coming, and he came in and attacked us. Roman conquest in 43 AD. So this was a couple of years into Claudius's reign. This was where he was probably being told, oh, you're a loser. Oh, you can't do it right. Oh, Claudius, give me some. Oh, could you walk with 2 legs? All this stupid things. And then he was like, I'm going to invade Britain. I'm going to show you lot. I'm going to show you how good I am. And you guys, he did. So, yeah, he didn't do it the same way. He learned from what Caesar had. He went around Pegwell Bay and down into and his first battle was the Battle of Medway. Yes, he had to go around a little bit further, but this is where we found Camel Dunham, which is modern-day Colchester, when he fought through the Battle of Medway, because the Medway is a river, and yeah, they still had their boats, but obviously there was a lot of tribes not happy with their arrival again, and especially a guy called Caraticus, who was a Cortelovani king, who wasn't too happy, and he was the king of that tribe, and Claudius ended up having quite a lot of battles with this Caraticus fella. So yeah, the conquest was happening. But yeah, the Battle of Medway was led by Caraticus and a guy called Togodumnus. I'll admit I did chuckle at that name, but that's his name. As part of the Cultinovani tribe. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but it'll do. There's a lot of interesting names, but that's how they landed in and had a fight. And obviously the Romans won that bit, because then they captured Camaldon, which is modern day Colchester in Essex, which became their first capital province, which is now which during Roman times the tribe of the Trinovartes, that's where they were. It's basically where East Anglia is now. It's basically southern East Anglia, but that's where Colchester is anyway. And yeah, they kept fighting, they kept having a go. Claudius only really showed up until towards the end of his reign, till after 50 AD, when he finished, when Caraticus had finally done his bit and he got exiled to Rome, just to be polite, because he tried to run away, but unfortunately somebody in the north of England grassed him up, essentially, and they told the Romans where he was, and then they didn't kill him, funnily enough. They exiled him and took him to Rome and gave him a reasonably peaceful life, at least until he passed away. But that was of natural causes. It was quite nice of them to do. So the Romans aren't always mean. They're respectful in a weird kind of way, I suppose. Yeah. Then, they started their attack on Anglesey in 60 AD, but there was a little issue with their results. Their first attack on Anglesey didn't quite go to plan, because during that first attempt on Anglesey, unfortunately, there was a little revolt on the other side of the country by the Iceni tribe, and it was called Boudicca's Revolt. And she was revolting against the fact that her sister was, her sister was being raped and stuff, and obviously Boudicca was not pleased, and she had some fight in her. That's for sure. She definitely gave the Romans a bit of a runaround. The Romans won in the end, but for goodness sake, gave her a bit of a. The Boudiccan revolt ended with the Battle of Watling Street. I believe that's how it was. Yes, the Battle of Watling Street was the end, and unfortunately, Boudicca, I think, died after. I think she executed herself, because, well, she knew that that's what the Romans would have done anyway. So she kind of sacrificed herself early, because she knew it was going to happen. But nobody actually knows, because, well, it's happened now, and I'm glad that they've come across, and it's nice that she put up a fight. The Battle of Watling Street was where Londinium is, I believe, or St Albans. Is it around the London area? Give or take. It'll do. I'll work it like that. And after that situation had finished, we then started with our raids in Scotland. In 721 was when we started our raids on Scotland. We started deciding to go up. Obviously, I forgot. We finished our war on Anglesey, and we managed to get rid of the druids on Anglesey, though, and we tried to bring in their own religion, their own monotheistic, and their own gods. They were still polytheistic, but they were bringing some of their own Roman gods and their own. They didn't sacrifice people anymore. They put an end to that, thankfully, because they put an end to the druids. So they finished off their battle their war in their conquest in Anglesey in 77 AD. Finally did it up in North Wales. They finally took it. Gone, done, boom. They're down. They're going down, and yeah. So in 83 and 84 that was it. So we left. Is it warm around here, or is it me? Well, then they went to Scotland, and we started gradually going upwards, because we wanted that bit, because we had the Battle of Mons Grippus up in Scotland, which was way up there. We weren't sure at first whether we were going to take them, but we actually had started crawling our way up Caledonia and Scotland from 71 BC, 71 AD, sorry. I got so into saying BC. AD. 71 AD. We were going up, but when we got to 84, we ended up having a proper big battle at Mons Graupus. So that was a leader, king, I don't know what to call him, but the leader of Caledonia, called Calgacus, also known as, which stands for the Swordsman, which was one of his nicknames. This was versus Gaius Agricola, who was the governor, because that's something that we had during the Roman Britain period. We had governors who took over because, the emperor was too busy doing other things over in other cities, causing loads of trouble over there. Let's go with it. But Agricola was practically owning it. He was taking things superbly. He took Mons Grippus, and he took quite a lot of Caledonia. It was amazing what the guy could do. But unfortunately, Emperor Domitian at the time was getting a bit jealous of all that he did, because Domitian was a tyrannical git who wanted everything for himself, who called Agricola back to Rome, and unfortunately, from 84 and 96 AD, all of the lands that Agricola had got, they all went back to the Caledonians. So it was almost like for nothing. But Domitian just wanted everybody to suffer, really. At least until 96 AD, when Domitian died, and we started the Nerva Antonine dynasty, which included the 5 good emperors. Thankfully, they were good. They were the good emperors, and because they were good emperors, we all know Hadrian, don't we? We all know Hadrian. He built a wall in 122 AD. He built that wall. Took 6 years to actually construct it, but it was worth it in the end because it kept others out. Though I'm not sure it was actually meant to keep them out. It was more of like a toll booth. It was more, you had to pay a tax if you wanted to get through. It wasn't necessarily if you come through you'll be executed. It was more, you just pay a little bit. Yeah, you're quite welcome to come through to the land. So Hadrian built that just to help with the Caledonians, because they were constantly trying to come over, and we were constantly trying to go over to them, constantly at battle with each other. And it was a good wall, and it's still there today. Not at its big entirety, but you can see where the little fort bits were. So it's good that we've still got remnants of all of that. We still can remember things like that. And the next emperor was Antoninus Pius, and he wanted to build a wall as well. So he built a wall that stood from 142 to 162. It wasn't as good as Hadrian's wall, that's for sure, because the Antonine wall was just a load of dirt and mud. Didn't exactly last too long. Doesn't seem like a wall to me. Just seems like somebody had forgotten that, to done the lawnmower in and forgotten and just left a pile of it there and said, right, that's a wall. Yeah, I mean, you can still see the ditch in the crevice where it used to be. It's just, it never really worked, I guess. Oh, well, it is what it is, you learn. I mean, Hadrian's wall was still around. We kept fighting over there. Also, in 140 AD, they had a siege of Bernswark. I don't know how to say that, but that was the Roman Empire versus the Salgovi, which were also obviously in Scotland, which is a part of Scotland. I think it was more to the western part of Scotland that they went over at that point and tried to attack them. But it is what it is. This eventually led us to the time where Commodus was an emperor and stuff like that. That time when he was a very, very bad emperor was Commodus. After Marcus Aurelius, because it was Antoninus Pius, then it was Marcus Aurelius who became emperor. Marcus Aurelius and his son Lucius Verus, who died in 160, who died a bit earlier. He died before his father. That's pretty sad. But that was a sign of them two working together, father and son, combined, doing good work. Unfortunately, Marcus Aurelius's other son, Commodus, wasn't as good, and he definitely wasn't one of the 5 good emperors. He just caused loads of trouble. He was definitely tyrannical, and well, if he wasn't happy with you, no, you're dead. You're dead, man. You're dead. Which, once Commodus did eventually die in 192, started the year of the 5 emperors. And the year of the 5 emperors was 193 AD. So it was quite a tough time when in 193 there was 5 emperors. It was basically a civil war. I mean, you had Pertinax was the first of them, and then Didius Julianus, I think that's right, who also died in 193, so only had a few months. Then you had Presenius Niger, who started in 193 and actually got to 194. Well done him, but he still started in 193. And then you have Claudius Albinus, who was actually, I mentioned Albinus because, well, he was actually proclaimed emperor by Britannis and Hispania. So that Claudius Albinus is actually an important one, and he was started in 193, obviously, and then unfortunately he died at the hand of the next emperor, Septimus Severus, who started as emperor in also 193. He was the fifth of the five emperors, which ended that event finally. So we then started the Severan dynasty, which went from 193 to 235. And I mentioned the Severan dynasty because Septimus Severus, who started it, and he went from 193 to 211. There was an invasion of Scotland or Caledonia from 208 to 211. So basically till Septimus's death. So unfortunately, he didn't do very well at it. He tried, but unfortunately, he had to retreat. He had to make a retreat to Hadrian's Wall. And he was hoping his sons, Caracalla and Geta, to do the job. Fortunately, well, Caracalla was a they were all co-emperors. Caracalla became emperor in 198 along with his dad, but obviously when he died in 211, he became co-emperor with his brother Geta, who became emperor in 209. Unfortunately, he died in 211 because Caracalla got a bit hot-headed and a bit power mad and killed his own brother. But Caracalla was emperor until 2017? Blooming heck. No. 217. Anyway. He did. Yeah. Oh, goodbye. Oh, sorry. I got a frog in my throat. Hello, let's see. Oh, Sam, you hello. Hey, Sam. That's fine. Don't worry about being late. I'm not keeping a register. I'm all good. Hey, Terry. How you doing? Me lovely? Good to have you here. Cecilia, great to have you here. I hope everybody's doing all right as well. Hope everybody's had a good month. Hope everybody's enjoyed themselves, just looking after themselves very nicely. I've got my fan on, but I'm absolutely roasted still. But I think we've got the earliest bit of Scotland out of the way. So yeah, it was the Severan dynasty, and then once the Severan dynasty ended with Severus Alexander in 235, that's when the Roman Empire went to pot, really, because it began the crisis of the 3rd century, which was a war essentially between the Roman Empire and the Sasanian Empire, which is basically Iran and all the Parthian Empire area. And there was also Roman breakaway empires as well, which is including the Gallic Empire, which is the one that we were part of for a little bit, which was which we did, the Gallic Empire went from 260 to 274 until Emperor Aurelian brought everybody back together again. Because along with the Gallic Empire, we also had the Palmyrene Empire, but that doesn't include Britain. That was a breakaway from the Parthian Empire. It's just because nobody really knew who wanted to be emperor, because after Severus Alexander's death in 235, there was a guy called Maximus Thrax, I think his name was, who took over in 235 to 238, and he wasn't exactly a very, very nice one, and he got killed. He got killed by his own people. So that just shows it. And then you went into the Gordian dynasty, and, well, Gordian 1 and 2 both died in 238. This was actually the year of the six emperors now, but anyway, the crisis was, well, it was a crisis because nobody really knew, and it was all short reigns as emperors. So yeah, there's all these little short reigns that you'd got. But yeah, we're still not done in Scotland though, because in Scotland they also had the Great Conspiracy, which was basically the Roman Empire up again in the north. It was basically the Picts versus the Scotti and the Saxons, and basically a load of barbarian tribes as well. So it's quite a war going on around there. I'll tell you that. And I think the Picts and the barbarian tribes won because, well, Scotland is still Scotland, and they still became Pictish. But then in 396, Stilicho had a Stilicio's Pictish War from 396 to 401. They weren't done, but unfortunately, that was the last one I've got of our attacks against the Caledonians, and we obviously didn't win any of it. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and we can't have it all. So I think this was all part of the Carolingian revolt, so which was in 286 to 296. So I think this is what actually led into the Britannic War, because this created a short Britannic Empire with Constantius, the one Chlorus, versus Caraccius. So the Romans versus a Scotsman again. So yeah. Anyway, I think we lost again. We just could not conquer Scotland, and you probably would. I don't know. You may be wondering, why have I not mentioned Ireland in any of this? It's because, well, they just didn't see any point. It was just trees and everything. They may have landed there a couple of times and had a look around, but think, what's the point? There's nothing here for me. Let's not bother. Though they still gave it a name. They still gave it the name of Hibernia, which is good. They've at least bothered to name it, so they cared enough to give it a name. That's well done to them. It's good. And then we went through a load of usurpers, because we had Magnentius, who reigned from 30 to 350 to 353, but he was murdered by Emperor Constans, and then Constantius II, I think, took over as Roman Empire at that point, which was one of Constantine the Great's sons. So like that, Constans was one of the three sons, but Constantine II died after 3 years of his father giving birth. So he was from 1337 to 1340, and Constans went from 1337 to 1350, I think, and this is why Magnentius wanted to take over, which left the sole emperor of the whole empire was Constantius II, who lived until 261, I believe. This is me trying to use the memory game here. I'm trying because, well, because Constantine the Great had 3 sons. But we can all say thank you for Constantine because he managed to bring the empire with. He brought Christianity to Britain and everything, so he made sure that we were all accepted as Christians, because the Tetrarchy, where Diocletian was running it, he didn't like them. He was very much on the pagan side, and he was basically cleansing the world. So it took till 324 when Constantine the Great became emperor, outright emperor. Because during the Tetrarchy, that was blooming confusing. It's like he's bought that bit. Tetrarchy, it's 4, so he had that bit, he had that bit, he had that bit, he had that bit. So like, okay, it was very, very confusing at the time. But yes, it all worked out, I suppose, in the end. Actually, no, it didn't. When we got Constantine respecting Christianity in the world again, in the empire, not being so polytheistic when it came to the religion and stuff. So yeah, then there was a guy called Carussus II, who we're not too sure about his ruling as such. I think he might have ruled just a little bit after Magnentius, but he only usurped the throne from 354 to 358. Bit hit and miss of what he done and everything. But it went a bit quiet around the European area because, well, there was so much fighting down in the Gaul with the Gothic wars and everything like that. There wasn't much going on in the Britain area. There wasn't much war going on, so everything was sort of all right. But then we had a usurper to the throne called Magnus Maximus, who usurped the throne in Britain from 383 to 388. And yeah, he was the usurped emperor. Unfortunately, when it got to 388, he withdrew from there and, well, went into Gaul, I think, and then got killed. But that it is what it is, I'm afraid. And then we had 2 sort of usurpers called Marcus and Gratian. Marcus ruled in 406, and then Gratian took over as sole usurper in 406 to 407. But that we were closing in on the end of the empire because there was so much going on at home. So much going on over in the Parthian Empire and stuff, because there was so many wars going on that I think they just given up, because the last emperor we had as emperor of Britain was Constantine III, and he ruled from 407 to 411. Though in 410, the sack of Rome. that was when everybody left Rome as it was. They're just like, we've done with Rome. Got other things down in Gaul. So when it came to 410, Constantine III went down to Gaul and started having fights, continuing fights, helping out with Emperor Honorius, because, well, he couldn't do it on his own. So essentially, Constantine III and Emperor Honorius of the Western Roman Empire, them two kind of had to work together. Fortunately, Constantine III died in 411, so that was him done with. And I'm afraid that was Britannic Rome done with. But unfortunately, that's how it is. And then we do still have sub-Roman Britain where we had the fallout. But there was always that question: did Rome leave us, or did us as Brits kick the Romans out because we didn't need their help anymore, or we thought we didn't? But obviously, after the Romans had left, we sunk back into our old Celtic ways, or at least over in the Western Celts, like Wales and stuff like that. They all sunk back into their old polytheistic ways. Down in the Kentish, Colchester, the Celt, that area and stuff, that's where the German invaders, that's where all the Germanic tribes like the Jutes, the Angles, the Saxons, some of the Frisians as well, they all came over checking us out, all the Germanic tribes. And then, well, we sort of know what happens, because we ended up with the Anglo-Saxons, and then, well, ended up becoming Great Britain in the end. Well, it became Great Britain in 1707 when we signed the Acts of Union, but that's quite a long way off yet. But anyway, that is, I believe I have covered the whole of Rome, how the Roman Empire dealt with Britain, and I think they did very well with it. Whew. Yeah. Lovely neck. 52 minutes. Lovely neck. I really got into that, didn't I? Whew. Oh well. Hope everybody's enjoyed themselves. I'm not done yet, but I hope everybody's had fun, because I'm absolutely... Constantine, great. Is it? Oh, I don't know. I've never seen that film, to be fair. All I know is Constantine III was the last emperor of Britain. Cecilia, you're trying to plan a trip to England and Edinburgh. 2 weeks at least. It will take a chunk out of my pocket. Oh, everything takes a chunk out of everybody's pocket nowadays. Sheesh. You're lucky if you've got money now. Oh. Oh, don't you just love the Romans, though? And the thing is, the Roman Empire itself, the Western Roman Empire, unfortunately, all died out in 476, and, well, that was it, really. Oh, but we've also got some good culture, and there's a lot of places that we've got that in names. I mean, just on our doorstep in Derby, on Chester Green, or Little Chester. I think I mentioned it in my Derby show a couple of months back, when they had a Roman fort called Dervenito. There was a Roman fort there from 80 to 120 AD. So that's good. It's good that we over in Derbyshire have got something to remember us by. So that was good. We've also got Cambridge, London, obviously Colchester, St Albans. Cambridge had the Dorolo Pont. London was obviously Londinium, and Colchester is Camulodon. We also had St. Albans, which is Vorolamius. I don't know how to say these things, but yeah, the Battle of Watling Street was that was the end of the Boudiccan revolt. So the end of the Boudiccan revolt was in St. Albans. Very, very good. We've also got Bath, which is basically where the Roman baths were made, because, well, that's something that the Romans brought over for us. They brought us baths and stuff, so that's good. So we got something. Fortunately, it was public, so they also bought public loos as well, but unfortunately, everybody could see you. Well, it wouldn't be very comfortable for me. I mean, public toilets are still meant to be private, or at least, well, not in Roman time, I guess. Oh well. And then there was another place I suggested, which Cirencester. Not quite sure how you say that, but in Roman it's Corinum Dobunorium, which was home to their Dobunni tribe. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of having fun here, just saying names, just comparing the names as they were. It's completely different. Now we've also had York as well, which is Eboracum. Sounds like some. York's up way north, so we had to go through there. We also have Manchester as well, which is Mamukian. Yeah, right, okay. We had a lot of mining as well in Roman Britain, because, well, that's how we started with because that's the reason why we was traded. We wanted to trade our old Cornish tin, because that's right in the other corner, but we always traded with them. We also got iron, lead, we had some gold and silver, copper. We also got salt as well, so we got loads of stuff from these times. So we can thank Rome for bringing all this stuff, but Rome also got a lot from us as well. So I'm just glad that the Romans came. Oh, I forgot the one thing. They gave us roads. They also gave us clean water as well with them aqueduct things. Oh, Mercia. Well, Mercia came in the Anglo-Saxon times. It wasn't around then. I think Mercia was the Cortavani tribes and the Cortellini. It's the names. I can't. I'm terrible at saying names, but yeah. Is there? So, there's an interesting series on Netflix on the Roman Empire. May have to check that out at some point, eh? Don't know what that was. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff there's so much history I could go through, and it's wow. Oh man, I've enjoyed tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed tonight as well. I just hope you guys enjoy yourself, and I hope you're ready for next month, because next month will be a bit different. It's more of a relaxed topic for me anyway. It's going to be a history of octopuses. So it's up to you whether you want to join me for that. If you like octopuses, you're always welcome to come along. If you don't, come along anyway. Because I'm always welcome you with open arms, and I hope you come along. And I'm glad that you've come along tonight. I'm glad that everybody enjoys the Romans. I know the Romans are just awesome. They've done so much. It's kind of like I've tried my best to break everything down. It's hard to go through every single emperor, because they all had different qualities. They all did different things. I've loved you deep dive. It's not that difficult, really. Once you've got once you've got all your notes and everything, it's more just trying to get all them words out, making sure that you can understand. Yeah, looking at octopuses, that should be good. Anyway, yes, I should probably head off anyway. Thank you, everybody, for those who have shown up. You're all awesome, and I hope to see you again next month. And some of you, I hope to see you guys tomorrow. So thank you. You've been absolutely awesome, and glad for listening. Glad for putting up with me for an hour. Thank you. I'll see you next week with all 8 flippers. Not flippers, them sticky things. But no. God bless you all. I'll see you. Goodbye.